Now called to order at 7 p.m. This meeting is being recorded, and it's not being broadcast live by local access programming. Is there anyone here in the audience that's recording tonight's meeting? Hearing none, let's salute to the flag. Pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, I'd like to remind the audience applicants, town administration, and planning board members to refrain from asking questions in regard to all matters discussed this evening without first being granted my consent. So the ANR 14 Robert Ave, Vanville, Fulham. Anyone here for that? Come on up, please. Good evening.
How you doing?
Good evening.
To introduce yourselves, please.
I'm David Fulham, 14 Robert Ave in Auburn.
Chad Banfield, 10 Robert Ave, Auburn.
Okay. Do you have anything?
It's a simple conveyance. Plans. This portion of 14 Robert is being transferred to 10.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yep.
They'll both be conforming after.
They're non-conforming
One of them is non-conforming right now. 10 is non-conforming.
But that would make it conforming.
65. Correct.
Okay. And so there's no concerns?
No concerns.
So, Steve, any questions? Nick?
None.
Scott? John?
No.
All set. Entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion that we approve the ANR.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Getting the vote, we're all set.
All right.
Thank you
That was
kindly.
easy.
Easy enough.
Button.
Thanks a lot.
Sign now.
Let's just get them signed. We've got a minute or two. Do they want to wait?
Do you want to wait for the
Wanna wait?
plans?
Yeah.
I'm going to do them all at once.
A couple extra.
I guess.
Yeah.
I guess if we get 3 warm days in a row, now we're going to pay in 2 weeks in cold weather and rain, right? Yeah, thank God for that. 3 days. Get some stuff done. Yeah. God, we did too.
I couldn't move Saturday night.
That's how it was yesterday.
So any other guidance on what we do next after this, just so we know, go in the right direction?
The Mylar, I believe goes to the registry.
Yep.
We've got an extra paper cup, if you want to take one of those.
Okay.
And the rest, I'll file with the clerk and the assessor and myself.
Okay. So we're just each taking one of these right now?
Take a paper copy and the Mylar.
Okay.
It's on that's on this. Yeah.
Go.
Yeah, that's what Adam said, to keep it away from the,
All right.
That's it.
All right, thank you.
yeah. 705 applicant NJ Realty Trust, Patrick Motors, request for site plan approval under section 3.2.6.3 of the Auburn zoning bylaw to allow renovation and additions to the existing building and parking areas on 519 Washington Street, map 56, parcel 3. Hello again.
Good evening, Todd Broder from Fletcher Tilton, here with Patrick McCarty from McCarty Companies, the civil engineer on the project. Neil Patrick's here as well from the Patrick family.
Okay. I just need a motion to open the hearing, please.
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second it.
Okay. All those in favor? Aye.
So we're here tonight to discuss the 519 Washington Street project, which is the existing Patrick Motors facility that houses currently Volkswagen, formerly Volkswagen and Saab. Saab having gone away. The project in front of you is to do some work to that dealership building and the site, which Patrick will run through with you, excuse me. And the idea is to bring the Volvo dealership, which was purchased recently, which is in Worcester, to this site. So this would be Volvo and Volkswagen. We've got the next hearing with you to discuss a different site to bring the Mazda dealership to town as well. So this facility has been there since 1995, and but by way of you've seen other dealerships in town go through remodels and come through with manufacturers' specs and things that you've dealt with, and this is similar. So Patrick's going to walk you through the site. We're happy to kind of answer any questions on that. Just to give you an idea where we've been, we've already been to ZBA, received a special permit for the automotive sales that are it's in the Aquifer District. Also been to Conservation Commission, closed that hearing out, and expect that order of conditions issue as well. So you're the last stop on the train here.
Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you for the introduction. Again, I'm Patrick McCarty with McCarty Engineering, and to my left here is Brian Marchetti, who's also with McCarty Engineering. Brian handles all the stormwater design for us, so if there's any stormwater-related questions, he's happy to answer. So I have before you a colored version of the existing conditions plan. I colored this up for our Zoning Board of Appeals and just thought it would be good to talk about the site as it currently exists. So here's Route 20 along the top of the page. We have the existing dealership, as Todd mentioned, constructed in 1995. Originally to house Volkswagen on the right-hand side and Saab on the left-hand side. You have parts and staff area in the middle of the building, and then the service area at the back. All the gray is the existing pavement areas, and then there's an at-grade conventional detention basin in the back left corner that discharges to a bordering vegetated wetland that continues, southerly onto the land purchased recently off of South Street. So as Todd mentioned, the Patricks have purchased Volvo cars of Worcester, and as part of that purchase, they've agreed to build a modern Volvo facility for them. So we're proposing both renovations and expansions to the existing building, which is the proposed site plan that we have here. You can see in the light gray, that's the existing curved shape of the front of the building. So we're extending out and squaring off the building to add service drive-in lanes where you pull your car in, check in with a service advisor, and then they would take your car to bring it into service. So this would be the Volvo side, and we're squaring off the front of the building. This would be the new Volvo prototype, which is like a semi-transparent glass front, curtain wall front on the building that you see if you're driven by a newer Volvo dealership. And then starting at this point, it would bump out approximately 5 feet, and this would be the Volkswagen side, which is the Volkswagen white frame, which is like a picture frame around the sales entrance, another picture frame where you can look in and see the car, and then a third one at their service drop-off. So you've got a service drop-off dedicated to Volkswagen and one dedicated to Volvo. The complete sales area will be gutted down, new furnishings, new layout, all to meet the manufacturer's specification for the number of sales position and vehicle displays and merchandising and everything that goes along with a car today. The center core of the building will be renovated to house parts for both manufacturers, and then the service area, we're proposing a 3,500 square foot addition here, and this would be the Volvo side, so they would lay out lifts from this side for Volvo service, and then lifts on this side for Volkswagen service. As part of the project, we're proposing to fully reconstruct the exterior site. So this is the new layout for parking. We've got vehicle display pad for Volvo here, which is a concrete pad with some uplighting so that the cars are illuminated at night. Standard parking here on each side of the Volvo side for new vehicle display and service parking. At the rear of the property, we're proposing to expand and have some inventory parking. It's important to note that this is the existing, well, former rear lot line of the parcel. It used to connect from here to there. The Patricks have recently purchased 8.9 acres, and this board endorsed the A&R plan a couple months ago. But that's in the residential zone, and so there's nothing proposed on that lot at this time or in the immediate future, because as you know, it's not an allowed use in the residential zone. So, you know, maybe someday in the future something will happen there, but nothing is currently proposed, and this dark green represents the existing tree line to remain. So as I was saying, we have inventory parking here. We have a fully enclosed dumpster pad here. It's a concrete pad with a vinyl stockade fence around. And then similar layout on the Volkswagen side where you have display spaces facing Route 20, reconstructed parking on the Volkswagen side, again for new car inventory and service and employee in the rear. As part of this, we're proposing all new stormwater improvements, so new catch basins, new pipes. We're taking what was the at-grade detention basin and making that a subsurface storm type of system. So that's constructed in this area here, and that's shown on the grading and drainage plan. We also have a small infiltration basin here at the front that picks up the rooftop and a little bit of the parking lot area that discharges to an existing pipe. So everything's still coming to the back into the wetland. The site is served by Town of Auburn sewer and water. The water connection will remain as is. The sewer is being slightly reconfigured to allow for an oil water separator to pick up the floor drains in the expanded service area. And then also oil water separators are being added for the two drive-in service areas for their floor drains, and that's all tied into the existing sewer connection that goes out to Route 20. The electric service comes in overhead to a pole and then runs underground to a transformer and then into the building. That will remain. The sprinkler service comes in off of Route 20 to a sprinkler room here, which will also remain. And the natural gas comes in as well from Route 20 and it connects to the side of the building here, so that's getting slightly rerouted to allow for the construction of the proposed service addition. Also included in the set is a whole new landscaping plan prepared to the town standards. And then all of these have been submitted to Graves Engineering as your peer review, and we did just receive on Friday a copy of their peer review letter. So we have not, since we just got it on Friday and I was nice enough to get Brian Monday off for the holiday, we haven't had a chance to respond to all of these yet. But we're happy to see that there's only 14 comments. The couple of which are just saying that there's no further comment other than the ones listed below, and then a couple typographical issues that they caught for us, so really minor revisions to the plan, mostly related to dotting our i's and crossing our t's on the stormwater design. So we'll be happy to write a written response to each of their comment and make corresponding plan revisions that we can bring back to you in a couple weeks for the next meeting. When we submitted on April 24th, we submitted the site plan approval checklist, 9 copies of the application, and we did request a couple waivers on the regulations that I'd just like to go over. So the first was actually requested initially a waiver from preparing a site lighting plan. The existing fixtures out here were recently converted to LED fixtures. However, at the Zoning Board of Appeals meeting a couple weeks ago, there was a couple of others that expressed some concerns about the lighting levels that we honestly weren't aware of until they brought them up. So we've gone back to the company that did the LED conversion on the existing light poles. They're going to take a look at it, put a photometric plan together, and let us know what can be done in terms of shielding or adjusting timing and that kind of stuff so that we can address the abutters' concerns. So we did hear their concerns, and we're working towards a resolution. We just don't have anything for you this evening. But we will have that for the next meeting. So I guess, with that being said, I guess we can just take that waiver request off the table since we'll be providing it. The second waiver that was requested is Section 11.5 requests a buffer zone equal to the front yard setback. So if you look at the existing plan, I guess the survey doesn't show the front yard setback, but these spaces are slightly into the front yard setback here. And working with the manufacturer, so in case I didn't say this, so the manufacturers are very specific, what they want their dealership to look like, what they want it to, how they want it to be configured, and what the sizes are of each of the elements in terms of showroom and number of vehicles. And so we really were fixed with the existing building, working forward. That's really established the front wall of the building, and then we have a sidewalk, a parking spot, and a drive aisle, which causes these spaces to be slightly inward of that front yard setback. So we're requesting a waiver from 40 feet down to 32.8 feet. And then the next waiver is 11.5.2, which is foundation landscaping. And so we do have all these tan areas are landscape areas surrounding the building, but we don't have a continuous 6-foot landscape band around the building. We have the sidewalk here at the front, for example. We have the driveways coming into the service area, so we've asked for a waiver from that requirement. And again, that's based off of what the manufacturers provide us and then working forward off of that. And the last waiver request was internal planting islands, which is 11.5.3.b. So we did add islands at the end of the parking runs that didn't exist under existing conditions. You can see it's really just a wide open sea of pavement. So we have added islands here, here, but which is the requirement to have them at each of the ends of the rows, but also at 90-foot spacing is in your requirements, so that would add more islands in the middle. We're requesting a waiver of that. One, to allow for the most number of vehicle display spaces. We're actually a little bit shy of what the manufacturers would like to see on the site to begin with, and also to facilitate snow plowing. In the winter, plowing a dealership is difficult enough when you have 250 cars to shuffle around, and then to add some islands in the middle would make that more difficult of a task. So we're hoping that the board would act favorably on those 3 waiver requests. We also submitted the abutters list that was prepared by the assessor's office, the full set of site plans, the project narrative, and then the drainage calculations, which have all been reviewed by Graves, and then of course the checks for the filing fees. and make sure we have those in. So the Patricks are very excited to renovate the dealership, continue their long history in Auburn, and also to bring a new franchise to town. As Todd had indicated, we've already received approval from Conservation Commission and the amendment of our special permit to allow the automobile sales in the Aquifer Zone 3. And we're hoping that the planning board would allow us to continue along towards construction. The plans for the building renovation are being prepared. At the floor plan and elevation were included in the site plan submission packet. So we're working on completing construction drawings as well as mechanical, electrical, plumbing, HVAC drawings, and looking to start construction hopefully as early as July. So that being said, I'm happy to answer any questions that the board may have.
Thank you.
And I'll sit so I'm not blocking.
Well, because we did not receive the review from, who did it, Burton?
Great.
Graves. We haven't had a chance to see any of that material.
Sure.
But if any of you had any additional questions at this point that you'd like to ask,
Just wait.
So what is the current planned spacing between the islands? So I know we have the 90.
So this one, there's 25 spaces. So that would be 241 from island to island there. This one's 21, so a little less there. 180, 189 on that side.
Thank you.
No.
Scott?
No, I'd just like to see the Graves peer review, but good presentation. Otherwise, you answered the questions I initially had. You answered them as we were going, so.
John, you're up.
On sheet 5, you show a waste oil tank.
Yes,
Is that double wall fiberglass?
absolutely.
Okay.
With an interstitial monitor and an alarm.
So you got a monitor between the layers, so you have leakage.
Yep.
Excellent.
Yeah, as you can imagine, they generate quite a bit of waste oil doing oil changes.
Oh, yeah,
and so we'd
sure.
like to recycle that and use it for heat.
On sheet 8, on your details, when you look at the drainage manhole, if you just fill the bottom of the manhole up to the inverts, the flow comes through and goes around, and the piles of dirt in the corners, build an invert. You make it out of concrete, but I would put an invert in it, not just a flat piece of concrete. It's going to save time and maintenance down the road.
Yeah, I think that's the intention of our detail is,
No,
It's
attention to detail is flat across.
no, it says half-inch per foot slope towards the outlet. So it's meant, but I hear what you're saying, and that's no big
You know, when it rains,
deal.
though, it's going to come around, it's going to wind up, hard to say a quarter of a round manhole, you know what I mean?
Sure, sure.
You just
Yeah.
put the invert in.
Yeah.
And then, what class RCP would you be putting in if you went RCP? Because you have
They're gonna have to do like.
3 or 4 different types of pipe on your drain.
I don't believe we have any RCP proposed, all HDP.
No, it says reinforced concrete pipe, HDP, or SDR 35 plastic pipe.
On the detail,
Yeah.
yes, but on the grading and drainage plan, it calls it all out as,
You've seen these? It's hard to read. I didn't pick that up.
on the full-size set. On sheet 4 on the bottom is a drainage schedule,
Okay.
and they're all indicated by pipe run, so P10, 11, 13, and they're all called out as HDPE.
And that, technically, that's what the detail should say, it's just
Yeah.
HDPE to avoid confusion.
Yeah,
My other pet peeve is you reference LeBaron Foundry frames and covers. They don't exist.
right. This,
I don't know
yeah,
who you're gonna use.
okay,
EJ's been bought,
right.
so. And then, on your, utility trench detail, you have electrical, cable, telephone, and a spare conduit. And I don't know if it showed on the plans or not, but on the detail, it didn't show any concrete encasement.
So the concrete encasement would only be on the primary side, and on this primary service is remaining in place to the transformer. So I think that should probably be modified to just a electric conduit, because that detail is really intended for
Yes,
the site lighting run. so we can fix that.
Okay. And then on the straw wattle and sill fence, I was a little confused. You have a dimension there of 5'10", and you have a dimension on the ground 4'6". Does that mean it sticks 5'10" above the ground or 4'6" below?
No, so the first is 5 to 10 degree angle towards the project side.
Okay.
So that way that the fence is leaning to resist that, and then it's 4 to 6 inch embedment for the stake.
Okay. On the cast iron pipe for the oil water separator, I didn't see detail on the bedding of the pipe.
That's sand and that's plumbing code because it's within 10 feet.
And then there's no detail on what kind of connection you make with the cast iron when it dives in. No one gives me a detail on it. I don't know if it's a rubber boot, it's just mortared in. It's gotta be rubber booted.
Yeah, it's rubber booted.
I've never seen anybody put a rubber boot at an angle.
What's that?
I've never seen anybody put a rubber boot in at an angle, but
No, so you put the rubber boot in, so it's we do them all the time. The core is probably
bigger.
16-inch core, and the boot is only 4 inches, and so the flex of the boot is what allows you to do that.
And then in the sewer manholes, when you test them, are you gonna vacuum test them?
Yes.
And then on the outlet control structure, with a 4-foot diameter, if it's the same diameter as a drain manhole, what are the weirs made of? I mean, is that a plastic insert? Is that concrete?
Concrete.
Is it?
Yep.
I think that's all I have. And it's the same for the other, for the Mazda deal. It's the same
I'll just
exact
put ditto for 189.
I'm always wasting anybody's time on that. It's just the same.
Are you
That'll save us some time.
are you the
tonight.
engineer of the group?
Kind of.
Got me on my toes.
Yes.
Mr. Brooks?
Yeah, you talked earlier in your presentation about the spots in the front for the Volvos that would be uplighted.
Yes.
Can you just explain?
So like a recessed light like you'd see in your house in the ceiling, it's the same concept, just they're weatherproof and they get poured flush with the concrete. They're not super bright, they're more just to illuminate the accents of the car.
They're doing them in all the walkways now to kind of highlight where you're walking. Kind of cool.
And just so you know, the lighting standard is 0-foot candles at the property line. I'm sure Mr. Brown told you that.
We talked about it.
And no street loading or unloading or loading on the vehicles. You
Yes.
probably already know.
We've been seeing some of that recently, so that's why we bring it
I
up.
drive the trucks myself. Come in, these truck drivers, they don't listen to the instructions.
And the buffer in the front, you're gonna reduce it from 40 feet
32.
32 where
Just in
where you
front
got
of
the
parking
insects.
spaces.
Just where those Volvos are gonna go?
Actually,
You'll
no,
still
in the
have
front
30
row.
feet, you'll still have 30 feet of landscape there.
There's 32 from the parking lot, from the curb line to the property line, and then there's about another 5 feet from the property line to the paved way. That's that crushed stone strip that you see right here. So the property line is right about here at
Orange
the end.
crushed stone, is it?
No, yeah,
The crushed stone.
that's just the
Yeah.
color we use to differentiate landscaping from hardscaping. So this edging is pretty closely
Right here.
approximates the right-of-way line. So from here to the space would be 32 versus roughly 38 now. 40 is required, but the existing spaces are already a couple feet into that.
That's one of the waivers you'll be asking for.
That's correct.
And one of the other waivers is
The
the
internal
islands.
islands.
As you said, that was 241 feet on the left
Mhm.
between islands.
Yes. In this dimension. Obviously, this is all landscaping here and there and there,
It's a little
but
short.
just along that run.
89.
21 feet short on the side.
Maybe the least islands I see is better.
It's easier for maintenance.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
easy to plow.
Easy to plow and shuffling cars around.
Probably be a nice, real nice when
Cleaner
it's
look.
done.
The cleaner look flush across the front.
So I know Sheila's out this week. I didn't know if any department heads had offered comments. I hadn't seen any for this site.
Not yet, I'm still waiting on the town engineer to get back to me, but I haven't heard from anybody else.
Okay.
If I sent you something on 189.
Yes, I did receive that. Thank you.
So we will continue the hearing then until we have opportunity to see the peer review.
Yeah, I mean, we're interested, obviously, in fleshing out as many issues as we can
Yeah.
tonight, so if there are, any of those
Yeah. And when you
things
come
that-
back, we'll hopefully have them all addressed and we can move
Yeah,
forward.
we can certainly work with Graves to address
Just,
their letter.
Through you, Mrs. Chairman.
Yes, Mr. Brooks.
Down in the southeast corner where you got that little, whatever it is,
Retention pond.
retention pond or stuff, is that wet in there anyway? Isn't there some wetlands in that
So
area?
this medium green is the wetlands. These were flagged by Ecotech, our wetland consultant, and located by the surveyor. So and you can see that on the existing, that's that same wetland. And so I have this colored as dark green, which is woods, but it's actually mostly invasive species. It's full of knotweed. And then there's a level berm that you can walk around, and then this is the existing detention basin here. So when we walked the site with the Conservation Commission chairman and one of the members, everybody looked at the knotweed and said, yeah, we have as much interest as you as trying to get rid of it. As everybody knows, it's pretty impossible to get rid of. But, we don't want to renovate this entire facility and then have a nice display of knotweed in the back, so we're going to do everything we can to get rid of that. And
And that wetland in the corner there just runs south from there.
yeah, this wetland runs south. And so this is the existing edge of pavement here. And so that existing detention basin's right there. So this is where the storm tech system's going to allow us to expand that pavement. But we've got a small precast concrete block retaining wall here. Then it stops and then it starts again to allow us to maintain that 50-foot buffer. So this is the 25, the 50, and the 100 to maintain that for conservation, and they were happy to see that.
Good.
I would just make the point too, when we looked at 104 South Street, which is the property south of
What's
this,
their name, sorry? This is,
it went through the estate, so I'm just trying to remember the last name.
Lighting.
It'll come.
Whiting, yes.
White.
We had initially proposed, and we went to the zoning board of appeals, and I don't think we talked to you folks about it, but a plan to put parking on the rear 8.9 acres, which NJ Realty Trust eventually purchased. It was causing some issues with the neighbors, which we really didn't want to pursue, so we ended up withdrawing the application eventually after the ZBA had given some indication of where they would go with it. So this, what you have in front of you, I know there's a couple of waiver requests, is really an effort to keep on the site that is, has been the dealership and is existing. It does expand it slightly to the south, the parking area, to get that inventory in there. But it's really what's needed to support the two manufacturers on site. So there's nothing proposed on that 8.9 acres that was purchased on South Street. So that remains, the vegetative buffer that it is. So we think that's a pretty nice feature.
now,
for
do you own on the
neighbors.
other side of it in the white?
Yes, it goes down and behind Lux Auto and all the way down to Eddie Pond. Yeah, sorry, the assisted living
Where
facility.
Lundgren used to be.
Goes behind Lux Auto, yep,
Oh,
and then down to the assisted living. And then in the back, the town of Auburn owns the adjacent
Yeah, he
properties.
kept going
It's a
due south.
15-acre piece in there.
Well, the purchase was 8.9 acres. The family kept the home and 4 or so
4.2,
acres
somewhere around there.
that are immediately fronting on South Street. So I just make that point because I just want to make sure people were clear. There's nothing going on that 8.9 acres.
Any public comment? Your name?
Mike Schillinger, 12 Diane Ave. I'm probably 100 or so feet away from Patrick. Patrick's been a good neighbor, not loud, not obnoxious. Nothing against Volvo, nothing against Volkswagen or anything like that. My main concern for being here tonight has been the lighting. The lighting I can see directly from my house. Taking in consideration and I maybe shouldn't go here first, but taking in consideration Patrick's neighbors. You've got Lux Plus, which is a dealership to one side. You've got STI to the other side, which is the tire business. And you've got Fuller. So you've got this whole strip that is broadcasting light. If I can see lights directly from, let's bring it back to Patrick. If I can see lights directly from Patrick from a walk out to my backyard, then there, in a sense, that light is trespassing my property. That can't be right.
Which is one of the things we just discussed, that it's got to be 0-foot candles at the property line, so there will be adjustments
I
made.
did hear that.
Doesn't mean you won't see the light.
Pardon?
It doesn't mean you won't see the
Won't
light,
see
it
it.
just can't cascade onto your property.
Foot candles is a measure of
Light.
indirect light, reflected light, and not direct illumination of light.
Is it illuminating directly onto your property?
It is illuminating directly onto my property. I can
Adam,
see it
can you
directly
show
onto
his
my
house?
property.
No, it doesn't, question is the light cascading onto your property, or can you just see the light from where you live? Because if you can see the light from where you
If I stand
live,
on my back deck and look, I can see the light pole and see directly the light emitting from that light pole.
you can see a street light too from your backyard too, probably, right?
We're not talking about street lights from my backyard.
No, I'm just saying what, my point, you're missing the point. The point is, and I'm not defending anybody, I'm just trying to explain what the rule is. If the light pole's here, there's a light on top, and it sticks out this way, and it's a LED, and it's shining down, but no light actually is illuminating this part behind it, they've met the requirement. Just because you can see the light doesn't mean that they don't meet the requirement. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
So
You can
you're
look
also
to
you're also saying, or you've also proposed that the standard for this particular incident is that there's going to be 0 candelas per meter squared, or whatever the term happened to be,
What we're saying is this.
beyond the property line.
It doesn't say you can't see it from your property line, it just says it can't cascade into your property line. So this is what, I believe this is what they mean. Here's your lot. Here's Patrick Motors, let's say, right?
Okay.
He's got a pole right here. He's got an incandescent light, not incandescent light, but an LED light here.
Whatever.
They put a shield on the back right here. So no rays of light go this way, the rays of light go down and out this way.
That's fine.
That's the way it is, you're still gonna see the light. But if this is shining into your property, that's a horse of a different color. You know?
Some sort of a lens or bezel, whatever.
Yeah.
I see light emitting from here into my yard without stooping or bending or whatever.
Okay. I just wanna make sure we got the complaint
Yeah,
right, that's all.
understood, understood. So, issue number 1, I already see that.
So they're gonna do a light plan. They're gonna do a light
And
plan.
I
do a
heard,
light
I
plan.
heard that as well.
Yep,
Um,
and we appreciate the comments.
Yep. I understand that the board can only deal with Patrick right now, that Patrick is the issue of the meeting right at the moment.
No,
But
that's why
generally,
you're here.
so generally going forward, this lighting is an additive thing. You've got Lux, you've got Patrick, you've got SDI Tire, you've got Fuller as well, all contributing. You can look on the overview there that there's a bunch of oak trees on the residential side of Route 20 there. There's a bunch of shiny cars on Lux Auto and Patrick and so forth. That incidental light reflects off of those shiny cars into the oak trees and then reflects into my yard. It's an issue. For me, it's a serious issue. I don't know how the board resolves it. Certainly a good step is to have them do a light analysis. That's a great thing. It's not easy math either. So I appreciate that it's a hard problem to solve. But
Is this where you live?
No,
I live right across the
straight
street
across
from
the
Route
street.
Right across.
Oh, right across.
Across the
street.
Yes,
Okay, I got
yes.
you.
Mike,
Behind them.
this is you right here, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Here's the
a
highway.
couple hundred feet away.
This is his lot right here.
Yeah.
Highway business.
200 feet. I think that having them do a light study and so forth is the right direction to go. I'll be interested to hear what becomes of it.
Well, maybe you can look at when you get the results of the study, even if it is all 0-foot candles close to it along the property line, you might be able to look at some alternative lensing or something maybe that will still light your cars, which is the intention for it, because you're supposed to shut down at a certain time to like security lighting only.
Yeah.
But you might be able to do that with some different kind of lens or filtered light or something that might help restrict it from going into the,
Yes.
you know.
Yep.
I believe that there's
He's not saying he doesn't want you to do it, or he just would like some assistance if you can do it. And
I believe that there's only currently one level of lighting in that lot.
you might look at the heights, or like I said, some kind of a filtered light or something. It
Yeah.
just isn't as.
Once you get your study done, it may be worth your while to spend some time with the gentleman and go over everything before you even come back to the board.
Sure,
And the neighbors as well, I mean.
sure.
I didn't know where you lived.
Thank you, Mr. Schillinger.
Yeah.
The gentleman in back had raised his hand.
Hi,
Yes,
my
sir.
name is Joe Chanette. I live on South Street. Linda Boisel and Paul Maroney apologize for not being here. They're in Europe right now, and their property directly abuts the newly acquired property from Patrick. And because of the terrain between those two lots, they kind of look down on Patrick. Without any trouble right now, you can read the newspaper in their backyard at ground level, okay, because of the lighting. So we're kind of requesting that light shields be placed on the new lighting so it reflects onto the cars, okay, in that direction. We're also asking for two-tier lighting, understanding, okay, that they need security lights to protect their investments, protect their cars, but they don't have to be 20 feet in the air at night. Okay, now, I do understand when they're open, during normal business hours, higher, better, brighter, understand that, okay? But if there's a time, okay, when we should have quiet hours for lighting. And so, we're talking the same language. We suggested to the attorney last week, come talk to us, okay? So we can resolve all these things before the meetings. We're very open to that. And the other concern that I have as a resident in that area is the loading and offloading of trucks. Having looked at these plans, I'm really skeptic, okay, as to whether or not you're going to get a tractor trailer in there to offload cars. And I know what's going to happen, okay, as it happens now. They pull up, it's easy, it's quick, and he's not that fast to get him off the street. Okay, we see it all the time, and I'm sure you hear it, but that's for others to comment, police, fire, or whatever. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Make a motion to continue.
I make the motion to continue.
We'll come back with a lighting plan.
Yes.
Address
Yes,
all
the date,
the,
Adam.
all the
Yeah,
graves.
lighting plan and a response to the Graves comments.
June 11th.
Okay. June 11th, is that soon enough or too soon?
Oh, June 11th's fine.
June 11th?
I'll
Okay.
second the motion.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
June 11th. Thank you, gentlemen. All right, we have NJ Realty Trust, Patrick Motors, request for site plan approval under section 9.4.1 of the Auburn zoning bylaws to allow light, particular, and equipment sales on property located at 189 Washington Street, Auburn, Mass. Map 35, parcel 12. This is the existing building with a cheerleading?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay,
Spirit.
all right, and that's being taken down?
Yes.
That building's being taken down, okay. Where the cheerleading school is right now? Spirits,
It
Spirit
used to
Central.
be Keystone Automotive.
right?
then,
Just before West Tech.
Now it's
Yeah.
a
A
gymnastics.
couple of years ago, we approved cheerleading. Okay,
So this, Madam Chair, the same crew in front of you, Todd Broder, Patrick, Neil, Brian, we're all here, the gang's all together again. Just a different site, 189 Washington Street. As you just spoke about, this is, was Keystone Automotives, which was constructed maybe 2005, somewhere around there. And then the cheerleading facility is in there now. This is proposed to be Mazda coming from Worcester to this site, Patrick family owned and operated. So this would be, again, Patrick will go through the site, but a pretty large redo of the site and a lot of the site amenities and whatnot. So I'll have Patrick run through that. Again, we did receive the Graves Engineering report very late, so we'll do the same thing. If it's okay, we'll respond to those comments in the interim between this and the next meeting and address whatever other concerns may come out of this particular process. We have been
I
before.
just need to hold up for
Yep.
one moment, please. Motion to open,
Motion to open the meeting.
second.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Thank goodness.
Continue on.
We've been before the Zoning Board of Appeals and received a use variance, as this is classified as industrial park zoning district, and automotive sales would need a use variance in this location. We've also been to Conservation Commission, as there's a small wetland, which Patrick will point out to you during his presentation. So again, you're the last stop on the train ride here, and hoping to get through kind of the same process that we just talked about. We'll address peer review, we'll address whatever other comments, and come back to you in a few weeks.
Great.
Great.
Thank you very much. So this is the existing condition survey that was completed by Topper Land Survey. for
Patrick,
the-
can you slide that over just a
Oh, sorry.
foot or so?
Is it better if I stand on the other side?
No, it's not you, it's
Okay.
the sight line here.
Okay. So, existing condition survey was completed by Topper Land Survey. Wetland delineation was completed again by Ecotech. There are not any wetlands on the subject property, but there is a bordering vegetated wetland here that's on the town of Auburn owned parcel. And then there's a small isolated vegetated wetland that's on the level 3 communications parcel to our west. This is the existing building, as you just mentioned. Currently, Spirit Central Cheerleading is in there. It was originally built for Keystone Auto Parts. It's about a 10,000 square foot pre-engineered metal building. There's an access driveway that comes up from Route 20 and then parking that loops around it. It's served by an on-site septic system. It's served by overhead electric. It comes to a pole here and then underground to the building. And it is served by Town of Auburn Water. There's a water main in West Tech Drive that goes up, and there's also a water main. This is Precision Drive, although it looks really more like the driveway to Allied Metals. This is a layout, and the water main comes up and cuts across country and then feeds into the site to the wetland. It's a little over a 5-acre site, and of note is when they did the site work for the original building, they had some excess material, and if you look at the contours here, you can see they're all bunched up, and rather than exporting their excess material, they basically flipped it up the hill. And so they left us a nice stockpile of fill material that we'll end up having to export. So as opposed to 519 Washington Street, this is a complete redo. Starting from the street right through, the existing building will be demolished, septic system will be abandoned, electric service will be abandoned, the water main will be cut back at the property line in the short term, and we're proposing to construct a new roughly 18,000 square foot building for Mazda. That's their new Mazda prototype. They have a neat feature that's called the Jewel Box, which is a 2-story glass corner on the building, and it has a stripped down lift, like a service lift, and so there'll be one car up high and one car underneath, so when you see the building from Route 20, you'll be looking up at this nice glass corner and a couple vehicles on display inside the building. Proposing to reconstruct the driveway up and in to the base platform that will have the building and have a loop of parking around it. We have a single lane service drop-off that will take 3 vehicles. So this will be the showroom part of the building. The center is kind of the business area of the building, and then the back is the service. So if you were a customer coming in for service, you'd come up the driveway, pull in and drop your car off here, and then the service tech would take it into service. There'd be spaces for vehicle display here or in front and here. Customer parking at the front of the entrance, service parking here in the rear as well as down here. And then you'll have 4 tiers of parking. As you can see on the existing conditions plan, the elevation at the top of the hill is 546 and the elevation at the street is about 4E.
Can you show on that where the parking, that those 4 rows of parking are gonna be?
On the aerial? Yeah. So there'll be, so the lot comes here into the woods and it comes all the way up to the pike and back down. So this area will be cleared. And so as you're driving in, you're ramping up here and you'll get essentially to this same elevation that this building is at will be the platform for the dealership. So this soil will be excavated. And then you'll continue ramping up this side and you'll turn right into each one of these fingers and continue to ramp up the fingers. So as you're driving in, you come up, you get to one platform that the building and all this parking is on, relatively one platform. Then you have a retaining wall in between the platforms. So you continue ramping up, and then this climbs at 5% from here to the end. Keep climbing up the driveway, and then 5% from here, and up, and up. So we're working with the topography stagger stepping.
But you don't circle around and back into another?
No, there's no connection from here to here, because there's an 8-foot change in elevation from here.
And you got the turning aisle and everything else?
Yep. So all of these would be for vehicle storage. So, you know, we're picturing a golf cart type of approach where the salesman, you know, if you say, oh, I want a new CX-5 that's black, he'll hop in, he'll go get it, and he'll bring it down to one of the spaces at this main platform, not having people free driving up through the different fingers. These are really for vehicle inventory storage. So as I was saying, these are each tiered up the hill to work as much as we can with the existing grades while still keeping the slopes reasonable, seeing that this is New England. Complete new stormwater system, so each one of these tiers will have a catch basin in the middle and a water quality unit at the end, and will go to a subsurface infiltration system, and that design copies itself 4 times. And there'll be a main trunk line of drainage coming down the driveway, connects to an existing drain manhole that outlets to the wetland, which really is primarily the detention basin for West Tech Drive that's kind of morphed into a wetland over the years. This is the New England Power Company easement, I should say that as well. There'll be another subsurface infiltration system here that picks up the rooftop as well as the parking. So all the drainage is coming together to the same discharge point as the existing conditions. The electric service right now is only single phase, which wouldn't be sufficient for a building of this size with the loads going in it, so we're proposing a new pole to be set on Route 20, underground to a transformer, and then underground from the transformer to the building where your main switchgear would be located. For the water utility, we pick back up the water main that we cut and capped during the demo, extend that over to the building for both domestic and sprinkler service, as well as put a hydrant in for exterior fire protection. There's no natural gas in this section, so we would have propane tanks for heating purpose. We're also proposing to use the waste oil like we did on 519 to heat the shop area. Sewers where it gets a little bit tricky. As I mentioned, this is an existing septic system that's nowhere near sufficient in size for a project of this scope, so that would be abandoned in accordance with Title V, which is a comment received from Board of Health today, just to make sure that that's properly abandoned. So for sewer, because this is vehicle access, we need to have floor drains that will come to an oil water separator. We have bathrooms that would also come out. The oil water separator and the bathrooms would tie together to a pump station. and we're proposing a 2-inch force main from the pump station down the driveway, along the shoulder of Route 20. There is sufficient width, as you can see in the photo here, between the edge line and the edge of pavement. Actually, here would be a better example. So we've got about 12 feet from the edge line of travel and the edge of pavement, so that sewer force main would come down the driveway, along Route 20, take a right, and come about 550 feet up West Tech Drive to get to the first sewer manhole. Unfortunately, the way West Tech sewer runs is it all comes down to about Precision Drive and then goes cross-country down over the hill and runs along the back of Lake Lundgren and those properties. So that's our only avenue to get to sewer.
Yeah, otherwise it's up the hill, across,
Yeah, otherwise
underneath the
it
Mass
would be...
Pike.
You have to pump it up 550 feet?
How many horses are your sump pump, or your,
Oh. I can tell you the exact.
We tried going the easier way.
Yeah, we were hopeful to cut across through Precision Drive.
get their permission?
They are, I have the pump, I ran the calcs. It's, believe it or not, it's only 6 gallons per minute at 51 feet of total dynamic head. You go down to the lowest point and then all the way back up again. And I selected the pump and the curve, but I didn't note I noted the model number, but not the horsepower. I want to say they're 2 from memory.
What kind of pumps?
Liberty?
Well, you gotta have to have 2 pumps, you have to have...
Yeah, it's a
all that.
duplex
Yeah.
station, and also we've set the set points so that we have 6,000 gallons of storage, which is 1.8 times the average daily flow. Storage, so in case we lose power or we lose a pump, we have sufficient time to store in the pump station itself in order to get a pump truck there and pump it out and repair the pumps type of
The
deal.
generator, right?
No,
Not
yeah.
propane on a ladder.
No, I'm saying if like there was a pump failure,
Oh,
happen to
yeah,
be pump failure, we have time for it to stage up.
You're gonna have to get a permit from the state, right?
Yes, we have to get an access permit for both sites, actually, for 519 to reconstruct the driveway,
Yep.
and for this one to reconstruct the driveway, and then we have an indirect access, I think is what they call it now, for the utility installation. So we have both an access and an indirect access permit. We have to file with District 3.
Excellent.
Water, sewer, drain, electric, gas, we covered. Again, so the stormwater is all fully compliant with stormwater management regulations. We have a new landscape plan that's included in the set. We have a photometric plan that's also been included in the set. And then just today, we received a comment letter from, nope, this is 519,
From Graves.
from Grace. You have it right in your hand.
Oh, I didn't get
Thank you. So just today, we received a comment letter from Graves on this. This one has 23 comments, which is still pretty straightforward. Number 1 is no comments except for the following, so now I'm down to 22. And then wants to know the percentage of open space. Asked for a couple waiver requests. They have a couple hydrology, drainage calculation comments. They want the O&M document from Storm Tech attached directly to our O&M document rather than reference. So again, very minor comments that we can address with a response letter and corresponding plan revisions to get back to the board in a couple of weeks. And I think again, the floor plan and elevation were included in the plan set, as well as all of the site plans, grading plans, drainage calculations. So the application, we did ask for a couple waivers at this site as well. So, excuse me, same submittal as the previous application. Again, we asked for a waiver from section 11.5, the frontage buffer zone equal to the front yard setback. So, on this plan, actually, I can show you on this one. So the existing curb line and the proposed curb line along Route 20 are at the same distance. So we're not going any closer to Route 20 than the previous design. And actually, if you continue down Route 20, that seems to be a pretty consistent theme for the setback, like looking at Lundgren and the other properties down Route 20, they all seem to maintain the less than the front yard.
What did you say the width was?
The requirement's 40 feet, and we're asking for 20. And so we're setting it at the same curb line as what's there. Seeing with the foundation landscaping and the planting islands. So we have planting islands at the ends, planting, here at the end and the end, and around the site. All these are planting areas. This is a landscape island in between each tier. We just don't have the intermediate ones, for the same reason that we just discussed during the last presentation. And so those are the 3 waivers. This one does have a photometric plan, as this is a completely new site. So everything goes away. That was one of Graves' comments, is the demolition plan calls for this existing wall to be removed. And it is getting removed because it's in pretty poor shape. It's actually got a little bit of a lean to it, and the blocks are starting to deteriorate. So it is coming down, but then it's going back, essentially in the same spot. So that they weren't sure whether we really meant to call out for the demolition of it, but we did. We're just putting it right back where it was because of the condition of it. And so, again, I'd be happy to answer any questions. And I think Todd mentioned that Conservation Commission did walk the site with me and also had the hearing last week and voted to close the hearing, and we'll be issuing orders on June 5th.
Steve?
Thank you for explaining what a jewel box was.
Oh.
I had no idea when I was reading that. So the walls that you're proposing, the islands, I know the slope goes up. What's the max height, and does it go to 0 or 1 foot height?
So they go to 0 at the end where they return, and then they step up and up and up, and then when they turn, the grades, they're roughly 8 feet. So this is 520 versus, actually this is 526, so we're about 6 feet there, 10, 11, 12, so it's about 8, they're between 6 and 8 foot tiers.
Going with the topography, but what are they between the levels? Right, so you have 4 levels?
Yeah.
That's
That's
8
what he
feet?
meant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, so
It goes up and over. So it's
yeah, I guess so. Since everybody's using the whiteboard tonight. There, so you've got
sorry.
you got the two. I'm not going to try and draw a car because that would be ugly. So you'd have the wall here, and then the next here, and then a wall going down. And so from finished grade to finished grade is 6 to 8 feet, depending on where you are. And then you get down to the building, and then continue down to 20.
Okay.
And I'll stick to drawing in CAD because
And it,
And
ta-
how
but it
high-
tapers, right?
How high above grade does that wall go up? Is it
it doesn't. There's a curb and a wooden guardrail.
okay?
And so it's a curb and then a wooden guardrail and then steps down. And the top of the walls have like a little kick on them. The top block isn't dead flat. It rises 6 inches, so it catches the landscape
Okay.
and hides the majority of the block except for the face.
I think on plan 3. So the distance. So next to the building, from the driveway in, there's parking on next to the building, and then on that wall, one of the plans showed it was like 4 feet. Is
The wall there?
the drive lane between that. So here. So between here and here, I mean, there's really
Oh, the aisle width between
the aisle width
travel.
there.
Yeah, it's 24 feet.
the aisle width
Aisle was
with the
24.
parking,
No, the parking's 18 and a half,
and then you have 24.
and then
driveway.
24, and then 18 and a half.
Okay, so this plan is not reflective of that. That's what I was asking.
Where is it?
It's 24 right there, it's just kind of hidden.
Yeah, no, I can see that, but when you're
You're seeing the existing conditions plan underneath it.
underneath,
When
okay,
it's copied, it doesn't come through as like a grayscale of what's proposed. So
okay.
It's just a matter of a copy.
And then on the left side, left corner of the building, what is the width between that drive line and the island?
The curve island, the curve
The gray area, the bottom, yep, go down.
over to your
Bottom
left.
left corner of the building.
Here?
Yeah, where that pattern, what is that?
That's all, the whole loop is 24 feet.
But what is that gray, light gray?
Oh, that's
on the
concrete.
Yeah,
Concrete
it's
pad?
Yep.
All right.
I think the truck route's in there too.
I was gonna say, what's the plan for the truck?
Yep.
Yeah.
The truck route is,
Steve, did you have anything further?
Yeah, the site lighting plan showed that it wasn't zero in all areas, so I didn't know if that was going to be revisited. And then, so if they're saying 24, then that answers this last one. And then the truck route, so those are my questions.
Like in this area.
yeah.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
are point .2s and point .3s.
So we sent them Mazda's lighting specifics, and so I think they're just a little higher than the town, so we can just have them adjust that down to make sure it's zero at the property line.
Is there any residential neighbors?
None.
Just
So to-
across the pike, you know, up the hill, like Jay Hill up there.
Yeah, so to the right is level 3 communications, which is like a communication service building. I don't know that I've ever seen anybody there.
I've seen surface trucks there of some sort.
And then to the left is the detention basin, power line easement, and then above us is Allied Machine, and then the
That's-
pike.
That's West Tech Drive, you know, to the left there. Across the street's the Dartmouth College property, which is zoned industrial park, so if it ever gets developed, which we hope it does, but if it ever does, it should be something in that vein. And then, you know, Meadowbrook Condos is straight through the woods after you get past the Dartmouth College property. Then it's just across the pike. The neighborhood up on the hill across the pike.
Thank you. Nick?
I just had two quick questions, more just for my own knowledge, but in the four finger areas, how many cars does that hold total? The storage, all right.
72 times 3 would be 216, 276.
How many in each room?
284.
Okay. And you had said that would mostly be accessed by employees with
Yep.
go-karts, that's what I was saying. It
Yep.
wouldn't be for bringing clients back there, that sort of thing?
No, they'll bring the car down to them at the dealership.
Okay. That's all.
Scott? John, you're up.
Same as the first go around.
I got it. See detailed comments.
Mr. Brooks?
Good.
And of course, we're just waiting for the review by fire department and the engineer and...
Okay.
and
We did get Board of Health today.
And we did go to DCG with this project a while ago, and fire department had some comments, and in particular the stack of the walls and whatnot, and their access, and I think this complies with those comments. I don't think they made any direct comments on the project
No,
to date.
no, I sent out to all the departments shortly after you submitted the plans for their comments.
Yeah.
I heard back from them yet.
Okay. So once again, we'll continue.
Please, same date, would be great.
Address, okay. I just wanted to know, is there any public comment at this point? No. Okay. So I'll need a motion to continue to June 11th.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
That's great, thank you.
Thank you for the wonderful
Great, thanks very much.
presentation.
Thanks for keeping me on my toes.
Yeah, get those lights, yeah.
Adam, you just gave me the same one. You gave me 519.
Oh, thank you. Did you say that loud enough for me?
He's already walking out the door. Say it again, say it again.
Put his fingers in his ears.
Thank you.
You did a nice job.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Where was he from? He's his own. Oh. Yeah, you know, yeah.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
7:25, is that one continued? Or?
No, we still have,
Okay. Raymond and Molly Bonneville request for special permit under section 5.3.2 of the Auburn zoning bylaws to create a hammerhead lot on property located at 23 Sunrise Ave, Auburn, Mass. Map 8, parcel 12.
The chair, honorable members. My name's Ray Bonneville. I had submitted a plan for your review and approval to put a hammerhead There has been some changes to the plan. The first plan that was submitted showed just the end of the street, and it was 20 feet of frontage and 40 feet along the end of the road. I went to the zoning board, and we had discussed a turnaround here, and the engineer had designed and revised a couple of issues that had been brought up. One of them was there adequate turnaround at the end of the road as was needed, and also that the turnaround make it so that I didn't own it, so I had the key to the lock. So my engineer drew up something stating that the roadway would have an easement, and the easement would be for the town, so that I maintain, even though I maintain it and build it, that it would be adequate. What I'm asking now is that for relief of it being a subdivision. Now the subdivision, once this was put in, it, make no mistake about it, and it's drawn up as it's only going to be and deeded one lot. We've had an issue that was brought up that a cul-de-sac was put in the same situation, but the developer was able to turn it into a development. And that was a concern that I brought up and saying, okay, we're going to deed this for one lot, and we'll deed it that it's not actually frontage. So with those two main concerns, that's why I'm here today with this plan. It won't see a development because it'll be in the deed. If we go the other route, as to say, okay, you can break it up and not do anything with it, it would be pretty much a waste of 10 acres. So that's why I'm asking for release of building one home and have it be known and deeded that way.
Adam, would you like to?
Sure. So, Mr. Bonneville went to ZBA, I think I have to go to ZBA. The building commissioner advised the ZBA that it was a subdivision with the cul-de-sac. So they asked Mr. Bonneville to withdraw his request for waiver, which he did, and so the ZBA did not grant the waiver request for relief from the frontage or from the fact that it's a private way. So he's back before us, because the special permit for Hammerhead is how it's submitted. It doesn't fit all the requirements for that submission. If he wants to go the route of a subdivision, can resubmit as a subdivision and follow those procedures. Don't recommend the board try to approve a special permit without fitting all the requirements. So,
I just have a question for Adam, if you don't mind, Wendy.
No, certainly
Is
not.
there special requirements for a hammerhead lot versus a regular lot?
yeah.
I think 9
requirements.
conditions,
Oh.
7 or 9 conditions.
One of the main things is frontage, correct?
Frontage is the big thing. A hammerhead only requires 50 feet, where a regular A&R in this particular district would be 200 feet.
Is it 200 or
200,
is it 180? I think it's 180.
it might
You're
be
right.
180.
RC is 180.
180.
Yep.
R&R is right.
RRC is 180.
Hammerheads by their nature can't be further subdivided.
Correct.
Right.
They're supposed to be on a public way, 50 feet. Those are the two reasons he needed a waiver, was the private way and the 50 feet. He only has 20 feet of frontage.
Right, but with the cul-de-sac, he has 360.
Right. So it would be best for him to submit as a subdivision, not a special permit.
Because of the private road?
Yeah.
So that's not a public way in any way.
No. No, Lester does plow it. I think Bill told me they do some grading once in a while. Or,
Yep.
so kind of a trade-off, because half the part of the road is in Lester off of Stafford Street.
It's like 230 feet, I believe, is the first Leicester, and then from there on it belongs to Auburn. What I did do is I wanted the fire department to give me a little bit of concern about the turnaround. As it is right now, I'm the property owner of Lot 1 as well. And when we come up the road and we try to turn around over here, the road is not 40 feet wide as it is right now. It's probably maybe 12 feet, 14 feet. And it's very difficult for a 16-foot truck to turn around in actually an 8-foot area. So what's happening right now, do you see where the cul-de-sac ends? Well, right there where that property line is and where the cul-de-sac begins, all of that area right there is all being crushed. And what's happening is as they keep coming and they keep coming and they keep coming to turn around, and the road is now being all washed out right here, right along that corner right there. And it's very difficult now. I maintain it. I take my bulldozer, I go around and I push it up, push it up, push it up, and I put regrinds right there. And now it becomes everybody looking at it, okay, oh, he's got regrinds here, now we can turn around here. So basically that's what I've done, but it's been to my property. So I spoke to the fire department. I don't know, did everybody get one?
Yes, yeah.
I asked him, I says, what do you think about the road? He came down, very knowledgeable about how turnaround should be. And he did suggest that a turnaround gets put there so that all emergency vehicles can come in, turn around, and leave. There was a time when the road was wider, but, you know, the overgrowth just kept closing it. So that's why I asked for this turnaround, so that we have one on the street, and no emergency vehicles will be able to turn around on any private property. They will have their own turnaround here. It was mapped out. It meets all the requirements of how wide that it needs to be, 120 feet, and also the land size that is needed was going to be put on this property without subject to it being too small, and also having to meet a lot more requirements here. Now, with this, when I withdrew from the ZBA, I withdrew it because this was a really, really good idea. This was going to help the road, and it's going to maintain safety on this street. And like the inspector said, you know, all these rules and laws that we follow, they've always been about safety, right? Well, Ray, this would be a good idea to put in and bring it in front of the board. And that's why I'm here today.
However, you're being advised to withdraw for the special permit and proceed through the subdivision.
Control laws. Right, to the chair. That's why I wish I would have got an answer from him, because I already know what I should have done. I'm not going to make that mistake here tonight.
So are you withdrawing your request for the special permit?
Yes, for the ZBA?
No, for us.
For us?
To
No.
create the hammerhead lot.
No, I still want to move forward with getting the approvals for the hammerhead lot. But when my engineer drew the cul-de-sac, it changed the idea of getting it approved for the 20 feet, and we didn't know, and I still don't know, if 20 of this feet here belongs to me. Because they say you do own half the street of a private street. So I was only going to be off 10 feet, but still needing relief for that. Now, as far as the relief for hammerhead lots, well, there's 2 already on the street, and I believe that the planning board back then approved them because they saw that it didn't meet.
Well, they had to meet all the requirements in order for them to be approved.
Right.
Right.
And they didn't, because the private street, you can't have a hammerhead on it.
Was that on the Leicester side or on the Auburn side?
It's on the Auburn side. Both of them are on the Auburn
I'm
side.
not familiar with that. All I know is that once we put in the cul-de-sac, and correct me if I'm wrong,
Extending the right of way.
and extending in the right of way, then it turns into a subdivision. So,
And you would have to then upgrade
The whole road,
to that subdivision
the
standard.
whole road.
yep.
And I don't have funds to do that. The hardship of this too is that there are some houses that if you did make this street wide as 40 feet wide, wow, we're gonna be right at their doorstep. And make no mistake about that, that would cause a whole bunch of trouble. I don't wanna go that route, but I'm saying that if it would be the requirements of just me finding the point of just making it so that it's one point this all meets a lot of requirements. Lot size, how many houses are allowed on the street. If it's just gonna be the road frontage, then I'm only off 10 feet. And all the other requirements would have been met. And it's only because of safety.
Well, for
Yeah, we wanna
Hammerhead, you
address
have to,
Yeah, I was advised by town council that normally you don't count the end of a road. You just count the sidelines.
20 feet.
Yes.
And you're recommending you withdraw it?
Yeah, I would suggest the permit withdraw and submit as a subdivision. There's lots of relief that the board has the authority to give for a subdivision. I don't believe they have the authority to relieve from a bylaw that there's different authorities and you have much more leeway if you so choose with the subdivision regulations.
So I would like an answer.
It's a bylaw from the
To the
town.
chair, I would like an
You're
answer.
getting an answer.
I'm not
Withdraw.
gonna withdraw it.
You're not going to withdraw it? Okay.
No.
So, does anybody have any further questions, Steve? Nick?
None.
Scott? John? Mr. Brooks?
I just, with the diagram, I'm still confused. The road comes up and ends right here,
Mm-hmm.
and it's, I see 40 feet here.
That's the end of the road, we can only count the 20 as frontage. On the side of the road, you can't count the end of the road.
Oh, okay. Even though it goes right into his lot.
Doesn't matter, it's the end of the road.
Mm-hmm.
So they couldn't extend the road in more like that?
No, now you gotta put the cul-de-sac in.
Which then turns it into a subdivision.
Which
Then
means he
you're
has to
supposed to
improve the
upgrade
entire
the
road.
subdivision.
Right, and then upgrade the entire road.
Right. Even though we don't put this cul-de-sac in, and we extend that road just 30 more feet, wow, we'd be okay, but it still would follow under subdivision control laws, just adding 30 feet to it.
Do you understand you have more leeway with the subdivision control laws?
Well,
We, as a board, have more leeway with subdivision control.
I understand that, Chair. I only want to put one house here, guys. For my family, there's another route I would like to go to if this one is not going to work. And the other one will probably go through because I've got a lot of comments on developing it. So, so let's say that one didn't work, right? To Chair, are we saying that this to go this way is
Trying
denied?
to encourage you to withdraw the request.
But I don't want to do that to the Chair. I'm sorry. I just would like an answer from everybody.
All right.
Okay.
So, we have a motion.
A motion
To approve, and then we'll vote.
Or you make a
For the
motion to
hammerhead.
deny.
Or make a motion to deny it
For the Hammerhead.
for the cul-de-sac and the
Just-
hammerhead. Yeah, the
Special
hammerhead.
permit.
For the special permit for the.
For the hammerhead.
Yeah.
Right. Make a motion to
Well, no,
deny.
can we legally approve this?
No, I don't think so.
So I don't think we can make a motion to approve it.
That's what I say. Make
I
a
was
motion
just trying to
approve,
say what I was saying.
And we vote no, or we make a motion to deny. And
I'll make a motion to deny the special permit.
is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it.
No, the
Okay.
special permit is denied.
Okay. To the Chair, I have another idea.
Okay, but I have another hearing, and so if it's something you want to come back, speak to Adam, we'll get you on the agenda, and we can, or you can come back on another evening and we can have a discussion about it.
Yeah, it's not about this though. It's about another route that I have to go. But I was using this as a way of doing it with a cul-de-sac. Now I would like to, and it's all on this plan. So if I forget about the cul-de-sac, I would like to just cut it off get the approvals to do that tonight. This lot right here will stay the way it is,
That isn't gonna happen.
and why
It's
is
not,
that?
it's not an item on the agenda to be discussed and voted on.
Public meeting laws
We
has
need
to
a
be
public
posted in
hearing.
advance.
Oh, okay,
Right.
all right.
Yeah, there's a
All
whole
right.
process that has to happen.
So I thought that it was, that this was a lot, and it was gonna be brought up as, and cut up as one. And that's what I was gonna do tonight, is have it, this cul-de-sac wasn't here. The other plan that I gave to you, would have been the original plan, as to just have it cut off, and that, that I can do, from my understanding, and get the subdivision plan all made out, and its cost and everything, because it's gonna take a while. But at this time, I would just like to have it cut off and not have anything done with it.
Okay, so again, there's a whole process that if you want to come back with another item,
Okay,
be put on the agenda, you get in touch with Mr. Menard,
all right,
and we'll come, have you come here again, and we'll talk again.
sounds like a plan.
Okay,
Sounds great.
all right,
All right.
thanks so much.
Thanks, guys.
Waiver request, Marshall Provost, South Street, public hearing, site lighting, landscape plan, drainage, and filing fees.
Wendy, can you close the last one?
Make a motion to close the
Oh,
public
thank
hearing
you.
for Mr. Bonneville.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Rachel.
She's on top of it. She's on top of it.
She is.
Glad somebody is. Marshall Provost, South Street, public hearing, site lighting.
You need to sign in? I didn't think I signed in when I
I know you
went
did.
in.
Thanks.
Do you want me to set up the easel, or is it fine to put it on the table?
The easel would probably be
All right, let's grab that.
easier. Did we do this easy? No.
I know he was like custom lot, but
I really just didn't.
Yeah, it's not very good with the presentation piece, yeah, you need some assistance.
You know what? It's
No.
sad. They can't talk
It's not
about
public
it.
hearing.
One house.
I want to.
Yeah, that's not a public hearing.
Right, exactly.
That's what Scott's for.
Huh?
That's what Scott's for. There is indeed a couple, yes.
So this DEP order of conditions,
That was just informational purposes,
okay,
just so you knew kind of where this project was standing.
okay.
I think you got the ZBA variance.
Yeah, you get the certificate of decision on the variance.
so what the hell's going on? This is the way he pushed it.
So, again, my name is Zach Lesson from Existing Grade. I'm representing Marshall Provost, who owns a piece of property on South Street. There is no house number associated with it yet. We're still working with the assessor to get that squared up, that the tax maps do not represent the parcel of land, so I'll be submitting an 81X or a plan of land to get all that straightened out down the line. But at least I wanted to get kind of the idea of what's going on here in front of you. The parcel is an existing hammerhead lot. So we have South Street that comes down and it kind of wraps up this way, and then this is the railroad crossing. We have Cedar Street over here. 395 is kind of all the way over on the side. Just kind of give an idea of where we're at.
Where's Cedar?
Cedar Street is right up in this area. So on the locus map
Where's
here,
the entrance into the property? Right there?
The-
Right here?
what it is that there's an existing cart path that comes
Yeah.
in right now, because this used to be an old kind of gravel pit.
Scones old pit.
Exactly, and then so here is the legal frontage for the site right down on this side. Is where
Comes
they
in
have
off of Barnes?
It does not come in off Barnes. Both of these entrances are off of South Street.
but one's right by the railroad crossing,
Correct, this one up here.
right here. And that other one is the leg that they could access it, but they'd be destroyed.
There would be a lot of
wetlands.
Exactly.
But they could come in that way.
Correct.
So the better alternative is to come in
Coming off.
right where Cedar and South intersect.
That's correct. Again, because there is an existing cart path right there, so it's qualified as degraded riverfront
Been
area.
there for years.
Exactly. I think Mr. Provost said as long as he's known that it's been there. So the intent, again, is to try and access the site through the existing cart path. So this is kind of a blown up area of what's going on here. So this orange line is the property lines. Again, we wouldn't really be doing much to that existing cart path other than just proposing to put down asphalt millings to make it a more suitable surface to drive on. In that we do have a wetland line that hugs the south side of this property. This cart path is already within the 25-foot buffer. This is again why we really don't want to be doing anything other than what's already existing. And then once we come into the site, once we get outside of both the 200-foot riverfront and then all of the wetland buffer zones, we'd be proposing to do a single-family home with an on-site septic and well. And that design would get finalized when we go to pull a building permit, and through the Board of Health we can kind of square up that. But that's kind of really in a nutshell what we're proposing to do here. Part of this submittal was for conservation. I did an alternative access plan showing the impacts of coming in off of this 50-foot stretch. We'd be filling about just over 2,100 square feet of wetlands. There would be a stream crossing we'd have to do, where if we did come in off this existing cart path, we wouldn't have to do, we wouldn't have to do any sort of filling or any impacts to the, exactly. So again, this has gone through conservation with the this proposed access up here, and it got approved through conservation. We have been before the Zoning Board of Appeals because we needed a variance to come in off this 30-foot section instead of the 50, and that was granted, and part of that approval was to come for a site plan review.
Yeah.
So I've got some pictures for that to see the entrance.
Yeah, definitely.
Engineering.
And this was
just
previously an approved hammerhead lot, so it had been broken off already from...
Correct. This is a pre-existing, for a long, long time it's been like this.
And has that really been the barrier to, to developing that house lot? The barrier has been the existing entrance and all of the work that we have to do?
It's definitely a big hurdle to clear to fill in those wetlands and try to access the site through there. So I know Mr. Provost, he's been kind of sitting on land. He's ready to retire now and wants to build a home he can retire to. So now he's looking at trying to find a way to access this site to make something happen over there. That doesn't work. I did drive by. Oh, okay. There I say. I took some pictures on my phone earlier today that I could cycle around.
It's great.
There's a road crossing, and you can make out Bill Quayle's truck, or the town's truck, right here. So it's the one comment engineering had was to try to make the driveway as far from the railway track as possible for slight distance. Another, here you can kind of see him pulling the vehicle out a little bit.
So is that the path that he would drive in on? Or is
The
it
truck,
right here
the truck
where
that
the
you
truck
can see is the existing cart path that we're proposing to create the driveway. And I know it is definitely a bit of a difficult intersection because there's a lot going on. The only thing I can really say is that the railroad crossing has a lot of signals and lights right there, so if a train was coming, it would be very obvious to anybody coming in and out of that driveway that there is a train approaching, to take caution on that aspect of it.
Surprised the rail crossing doesn't have the cars that come out.
I was just thinking that myself. It's an at-grade crossing, yeah. And why are there only those lights on one side of that street? Oh, they might be, you just can't see it. Yeah, you just can't see it.
Yeah, there are some overheads that project from the pole on this side that kind of hang over the center of the intersection.
So the cart path is beyond that telephone pole?
Yep,
that's correct.
Where Bill's truck is. Yeah.
Again, I can pass around my phone. I did take a picture this morning where you can see straight down into the cart path. Let's kind of pass it around so you can. Sorry, no, I didn't get them printed out in time to. So that's me parked on what would be the east side of the road, looking west, so that you can see the cart path and the railroad tracks.
Mm-hmm.
So I was parked right in this area, kind of looking this way and taking a picture of again what we have over there.
Yeah, car path is a bit below grade.
Mm-hmm.
Again, the intent is that if we can use this car path, we don't have to do any filling within the riverfront area, within the 25-foot or 50-foot buffer zones. It's just, it's kind of already set up at this point to be able to access that.
I talked to Bill Coyle today, and Bill said he was okay as long as they kept it as far away from the track as they could.
Railroad track.
And I do know that Mr. Provost is willing to do some sort of clearing within the right-of-way as he's developing that lot to help with the line of sight over there, if the board would be amenable to that, to clear out some of the low scrub to be able to really help see what's going on over there.
That would be a good idea.
Add that as a condition.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Site lighting, landscape, system of drainage regulations.
And again, we have requested a lot of the waivers because again, it's for a single-family home, and that this has gone before conservation and zoning with public meetings and butter notifications, and it's been very well. I don't think anybody in this area has no idea that this is going
Yeah.
It would have been, $1,000 for a site plan. So, right now we didn't have anything for tonight. There was no public hearing, so there's no advertising. You don't really have a fee for something so small as minor as this.
Steve, any comments, questions? Nick?
Done.
John?
Just one. I see you putting a septic system in, so, and I know it was a sand lot, but I don't know how far above the groundwater you are. Has it been perked?
It has not been perked yet. That will be part of when we submit to the Board of Health. I know that where we're proposing to put that is in virgin ground there that hasn't been disturbed. And it's, again, we're just, once we do the perk test, we'll be able to design based upon that.
My personal opinion would be prudent to perk if this way to got all this trouble.
No.
That was my only question.
Okay. Mr. Brooks?
I'm all set.
All right, so we need waiver,
Motion for the
motion
waivers.
for the waivers for site lighting, landscape plan, drainage, and filing fees. A public hearing as well. Site lighting, landscape.
I'll make a motion that we approve those waivers.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And then we have a request for site plan approval. I need a motion for site plan approval,
Keep them
but we,
with condition
with conditions.
to just maintain a clear line of sight.
Yeah, like you said, get rid of all that
We'll
scrub.
just do some undercutting, get rid of the
Yeah.
scrub growth, and leave the trees that we can, and just really clean it up so it's more obvious than what you see in the picture.
Did you talk to Bill yourself?
I have not talked. I tried to get. I think he's on vacation.
Yeah, he's on vacation this week. He'll be back next week. But you should make it a point to talk to him.
Oh, absolutely. When he gets back.
That he,
Don't call him this week.
No, I called the office and.
Just
called me back.
So we'll entertain a motion for site plan approval for South Street Urban.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right, CPT Energy Solutions and ATS signatures.
ATS, that's the one that has been in that case.
Yeah,
Wrong hill.
first thing I looked at, John Reedy.
Who?
That was wrong hill.
Don't sign that one.
Exactly.
Maybe I'm going to use some stuff.
Ronnie did, yeah.
And Jackson.
Hey, Scott was there.
And Scott was absent on that one, so it's me, Mr. Regan, and Mr. Lynch on this one. All right. And then we have the minutes, which Rachel did a beautiful job on.
I just wait for you to actually be like, hey, there's a firehouse. Is it just going to be much cheaper to think about it?
You send that over to Debbie yet?
This was just, no, I think you're missing it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
My downsize, I don't think I'm going next to a train
I'll go
track.
tomorrow.
Jeez, where are these pets?
Neither.
I brought him in.
You,
Yes.
really,
What?
what do you got for us?
We have Savers.
I don't know, you guys.
What's the, and what do you, you
You own one of these.
You
I
know,
brought
you
one
do?
for everybody, yeah.
You give me a hard time when I write the other ones. So, it's
I
kind of one of those
I
things.
brought in
that-
a Roach and Ren pen for every.
I think you need to
Remember.
tap
just because I told your uncle, but you told me to have the guy do it that way in front of his house?
Oh man, he was hot. They fixed it already.
I
Oh,
saw
we
him
have
3 or
that.
4
We didn't
times.
have that.
It looks great now.
No, but.
And he never said anything.
Yeah, he showed me, he sent me a picture of it. It was like, they let the
I
curb
thought I
go
read
right
your
into the
copy.
front of his
You
driveway.
probably did.
So it took
Oh,
off, like,
yeah,
you
no,
know,
he
before.
did, I think.
Yeah.
Where it's
Where it like,
closed,
it comes
no
in and they
angle
close
to it.
Yeah.
So he's like, now I gotta come take a ride into my driveway. I'm like, okay, so does everybody else.
What we got here?
They fixed it.
Pass them along. please.
So.
Single sheet?
I spoke to Bob Hennigan
I got
this
this one.
morning regarding the letter of credit that we have for Bryn Mawr Fire Club Estates. Just got it this afternoon, so I'm sharing. Our options seem to be pretty limited.
So, you know, the letter of credit ran out March 2nd, 2012.
Mhm.
My whole thing is, if you look at the performance bond and the verbiage of a performance bond, is that it guarantees that they perform and complete the job.
Only on, not on the private property, only on the public way.
But they, yeah, but the language is such that, if you have that, what I sent you, my question is, a performance bond, also known as a contract bond, is a surety bond issued by an insurance company or bank to guarantee satisfactory completion of a project by a contractor. Contract bonds provide legal and financial protection for those involved in construction projects. It's pretty broad. Satisfactory completion of a project by a contractor. This project has caused drainage issues with the town's drainage system,
Which we have a bond for,
which we have a bond for.
but we don't have that specific bond to read.
We have a letter of credit,
We have a revocable,
which is a little
How much is the letter for?
$460,000.
400,000.
Yeah.
But it
It's like a
sounds like in
tripartite.
a quick read here that he's saying unless we can show him that X things have not been done, that,
Well, I think.
I mean, you gotta read it a
Right.
few times.
Performance bonds are traditionally used in order to guarantee the public ways, public utilities, sidewalks, and streets are completed. Do not recall a circumstance where performance bond or letter of credit was used in order to correct drainage issues on lots in a subdivision. Public ways, public utilities, sidewalks, and streets. Do the public ways not include drainage? Our public ways include drainage, right?
Correct,
I
but
mean,
not on the private property.
yeah.
That's the problem, that's the stuff.
We'd have to look at how we, the type of bond that we get in the future.
and then no guarantee that litigation would not result from such an action. Well, I mean, do we have to get so specific that we don't expect them to
Well, there's
not
the bond or the
create-
tripartite, right?
You
No,
still have tripartite
this is a
agreement.
performance
This is
one.
the- but
How
we
many
have
bonds
a-
have we got on the project?
We don't have any bonds on the project.
Just the one letter of credit?
Letter of
That's the only
credit.
thing.
Which, that would be a recorded document online which states what it's for. Usually that is completion of the road.
Yeah, but it expired March 2nd, 2011.
2012,
Right.
Well,
yeah.
So where's the money? You said it was, so it's just gone, or he took it back, or?
I haven't contacted.
Letter of credit
Spencer.
doesn't mean that the money's anywhere, the bank
But if
wouldn't
you
even
look at
honor
that
it.
letter of credit, it says that it renews every 6 months, right?
A year, but yeah.
Yeah, or once a year, it renews. Unless something, comes up, like the planning board,
Tell them to stop or,
right, sends a letter to them that says, a letter signed by the majority of the members of the Auburn Planning Board that they have failed to complete on or before March 2nd, 2012, the subdivision known as Bryn Mawr Estates. And then if you look at the letter, that's where it says that it renews automatically on a year-to-year basis.
so I haven't had a chance, I just talked to Ken again this morning, I haven't had a chance to contact Spencer Savings or Cornerstone yet. I'm gonna try to do that this week, just to see if they have any more information. Find out, haven't really, it's a tough situation because it's on
I'm not an
private property.
attorney, and I don't claim to be. He's saying here that, he can't guarantee that litigation would not result from such an action. But I think the bigger thing here is that we are now faced with this, and we want to avoid this in the future. But is there any way we can force them to correct the drainage issues that they're creating? And one of the other points here is that they've created water issues where there was none. Okay?
Lots.
So, here's my hook, and I'm not a lawyer, you are. So, you're not allowed to put any more water on a neighboring lot greater than the
What was existing.
peak flow in that area. So he's done that. So, where do you go from there? Is that the homeowner's responsibility? Can the town hook them for that?
Town or the homeowners could sue them to force them to correct it.
Now, Gallo did offer to put in some kind of drainage infrastructure on one of the properties. But he is not willing to do that. Would have helped the bottom two. So he has an easement in place that says that he doesn't have to let him put anything in.
Right, but there's another couple of items there that need to be made aware that, first of all, that driveway next door to the O'Briens who came in, that driveway was ordered not to be paved as soon as Caleb walked off the site, they paved it. Then Gallo agreed to put a wall in, because a wall would help to divert that water into the street where it needs to be. And he reneged on that. So there hasn't been a lot of good faith dealings.
Pave the road when he was told not to pave the
Pave
road.
the road, I mean, it's,
Well, there's a lot or two that have not been developed yet, is that correct?
There's at least one that's not, there might be a
And
couple
we
that
can-
haven't
There's
been
one up
sold,
in the
but there's
corner,
definitely
and
one that
one
hasn't
right
been.
below the last one. that
And
was here.
can we make sure that doesn't go on
It's up
until
to
the
Caleb.
issues are resolved?
can we get a cease and desist on those? And would there be any legal standing to do that?
I think there's a water issue in the upper one now, and there will be a greater water issue in the lower one.
Lower one because of the upper one.
Correct. Well, you have, way up in the far corner, there's a lot that's not developed. Where it comes around, there's water up there. There's a spring on top of the hill. So, I think by discharging greater water than peak flow,
That may be it, because did he deviate from the plan?
we don't get grading plans for the lots.
Grading plans. And Hennigan also said that the people that bought the houses have all altered the plan. Like the one guy that was here built a wall that altered the flow.
Yeah.
And about 4 files up might have put from plantings that altered the flow. So what was originally approved may not be what's there because those 20 houses have all done stuff. whether it's a bigger driveway or a shed or garage, whatever it may be.
Boy, they sure do know how to cover some of these things,
I mean,
don't
if
they?
you read it, I mean, you really need to read it.
Well, you
a few
need to read it,
times.
but then, you know,
It's
yeah.
almost, they're not you. The company lawyer can.
Yeah, there's a lot in that.
They'll probably send an invoice.
Because the town can't afford it when they're fix it.
No.
Can't
But if you
do
read that, Scott, it says it, and then it says if you haven't, but then and have we or haven't we finished all those lots, and then if we don't, that needs so many members to sign it that says that we haven't completed it.
Well, and it's
but
saying
it
lots-
says it has been, it was over in 2012. so, I
Have
mean,
all of
it's-
lots 17 through 28 and lots 31 through 43, have they all been completed? We're saying no because we know of two,
not, yeah.
one on Briarcliff and one
Yeah.
on Amherst. No, they have not all been completed.
It's almost like a specific direction by him. He has to state some bullet points here for us to follow. And then to send something to whoever and say, here's what we gotta do. You haven't completed this, you didn't do that, now you're in violation and we're gonna call on a letter of credit.
It's just too bad we didn't investigate this a little bit more because we've been kicking this can down the road for 6 years.
Oh, well,
Well,
it's,
since
I think
Ravine.
even longer.
Yeah, well,
Since
I'm
Ravine or
talking
the-
about my
Mm.
experiences. It's been 6 years we've been kicking this can down the road.
I mean, they flooded the cellars, all the drains were filled, that was,
Have they consulted, have the residents consulted their own attorney?
we
Ropes
kinda
and
suggested
gray.
the last time.
Class action suit.
You have to look at the letter
But
of
he,
credit.
there was
See what it
recently was one.
dictates.
Well, that's the interesting part. Did you read the revocable letter of credit? $400,662.
You looking at the estimate? Yeah, that's an estimate, we still have to pay, but it's not independent. Right. Yeah, that's an independent
To make
estimate.
such demand without recognizing any claim of said Bryn Mawr Estates or objection to
I'll
any
get
demand
that
by
inside.
Spencer. We could request it. Written demand for payment shall be fully honored by Spencer Savings Bank or inquire with the town of Auburn as a right, as between the town of Auburn and Bryn Mawr Estates.
It's a shame.
Do we want to get into
So it will be renewed.
a lawsuit?
Do what?
It will be renewed. So it's,
This
it
is
should
back
still be
in
placed.
2011 written.
Yeah, it gets renewed annually.
Annually automatically
Yeah,
unless we were to
unless-
say, you
right.
know.
Right.
So again, am I missing, would it be under the standard tri-party agreement that would be a record that controls, is the controlling document?
I don't know.
Because the performance bond, more general in nature, I don't know that, you know, I don't know that we can pull it for this specific reason.
I'll can get a hold of Spencer or Cornerstone, see if they have any more details. If all those dates update annually, if that's the case, then it may still be good if it actually has that date expired. Not sure what kind of options we'll have, but
Thought you said it gets automatically renewed.
I don't know if every date on there is by a year.
Really? You read it.
Yeah, yeah, it does. It says that it
Drafts,
it
emails,
renews.
passports. Where do you see that?
It does, but then it automatically renews.
That
Unless
it
we
It's
were-
so
automatically
it's in effect
extended
today.
without amendment on a year-by-year basis from the expiration date.
kinda saying they'd honor
Unless
it.
60 days prior to such expiration
This
date.
is the letter of credit from the bank.
It's the letter of credit, but what agreement controls it in terms of what, under what
And that's what we need to
circumstances
see.
can be on?
Yeah. I think that's what I
Do you
asked
have
for,
something that
right?
we wrote
The
or that
agreement
we
was-
had? What the agreement is, Adam?
I didn't see anything like that in the files.
Well, I think at a minimum, we could request,
And what conditions were not met? What grounds would we have?
Right.
That's,
at a minimum, could we request work stoppage?
exactly. You know,
It's not doing anything now.
I really think it's like, there's 81U, I think it'll be on record, I put a note to check it. online, so.
Okay. So again, we need more information. What is the agreement behind the revocable letter of credit?
It's almost like someone has to take it and have the letter and the letter of credit and go through Caleb to Bill to Adam and say, okay, here it says this, who can find this out and research it and get all, see if we've complied and where they haven't or we haven't or whatever, and is it still in effect? And then say, okay, here's what happened, this is this, and now this is what we got to go on to create a suit or
And the
whatever
other
it
thing
is.
I'd like to see is that we review the subdivision
The approval.
bylaws and add grading plans to the bylaw, that there has to be a grading plan for every subdivision.
We should
We
come
won't
up
be
with
changing
some kind
bylaws,
of a
just
bond
the
that's
regs.
Just the
more
regs.
simplistic
Okay.
to understand,
Whatever we need
but
to do,
still
right?
is comprehensive and covers everything that we need it to
Comprehensive
cover.
grading plans.
And then,
That's
Well, they usually
also
like
going to be
to-
in the stormwater regs. We're working on updating the stormwater regulations. Those are federal regulations we need to work on. A federal requirement to have regs, so that's going to be done pretty soon.
is there any bonds, because I've asked before, where there's no litigation? Because the bond means litigation. If he says, we tell him you owe us $110 out of a $250,000 bond, he's gonna say, no, I don't, and you got litigation. Is there any that you can, I used to say, it's like open face. We get to say, we need that, and there's no checking. So it's always gonna be
It's right, it's
litigation.
right,
and-
Yeah.
So it's tough.
We generally do get contour lines for grading, like the guy on Packagug. That was a big question where the water was going to be drained off. That had a grading plan, but it had something that had to be redone on that. Had that several, but
But Adam just said we can put it in the regulation.
yeah.
It wouldn't be as difficult as trying to get into the bylaw. We could, make that move along a little bit quicker.
The regulations need to be looked at anyways. They are 3 years old, 6 years old. So things have changed. It's time to look at them. I really haven't had a chance to
The only other
start
hook,
making notes on that. But
the only hook I can think of as far as the $400,000 bond is the drainage that he has put in does affect the town drainage because it fills it with silt.
yeah, and
So that may be a cause to get him to fix it.
Where are we
What's to
with
say
the
whatever
fact that they
happens,
capped
that
over
whatever
all
we
the
do to fix that
manholes and
would
have they
fix.
located them
I believe
all?
that- I
And
believe
forgot
they
what
have
the-
found
It
the
does,
manholes.
there's nothing to say that even that would, so then you just cause a
Right.
But I don't
violation
know
just to
that
cause
he
it.
even cleaned them yet.
Or just to actually fix a
That'd be a
problem.
Bill question.
no,
Right.
And I think ultimately,
I
since this
talked to
property's
Bill.
already owned,
yep. Bill
We're
said
going to
that,
continue to fill with silt.
You talked
And
to you.
Bill said at the last meeting he'd want those drains
How
camera
would
to
I
make
know?
sure they were clear. And he wouldn't
What
Told
the-
me,
recommend
called me
accepting
back,
the
you
one
didn't
until
I
they
think he
were-
said that when we were
Yeah.
last year, so I mean that, bond,
But-
no bond,
Right.
letter of credit or no letter of credit, I don't think it's gonna have
But,
any impact
that
on.
you also need a little bit of leverage
specific
when you're
issue.
dealing with, this kind of a situation, and would the leverage be to stop work on,
Isn't there a big difference between a letter of credit and a bond?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
We can't accept letter of credits anymore.
No more.
They put the regulations.
It's almost like the
Well,
money's
we
not
have the
there.
automatic right to withdraw from it based on certain steps here, but
Yeah, but then you have nothing.
If we could go in, if it was under the right condition of that letter of credit, take out $38,000 and do something, and he could still litigate it
yes.
and call him.
After the fact, though.
yeah. No.
And I think he said he talked, and again, talked to him about, he looked up some of the case law on the Tinker Hill Road project.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Karen
And
case
that-
versus the
Yes,
Lowe's.
Some guy, a judge ruled or something, that someone had one open for, I think it was 4 years, and this has only been about 6 months, and that it went on for 4 years, and he said in that case, well, maybe you could call it a quarry or
But
something
you
like that.
can't.
But here, he said well, he wasn't.
He said it's close, because Lowe's was a short
I said,
time,
how do
and
you
it's like,
know
which-
that if the judge didn't see 4 years and saw 6 months, it's a thing. How do we know, depending, because we don't know, exactly, I told you, in 31 minutes, I saw 8 trailer dumps come in and out. So how do we know how much money they're making off of that? They could be coming in, just doing that, and leave the site the way it is,
Yeah.
like a big bowl, and walk away.
And then a judge.
What they were doing is selling gravel.
Yeah, a judge would take those two cases into account, but then maybe if they show there's that much income derived from it, is there a new standard that comes out of it? I mean, you never know. How much of a commercial enterprise is it truly?
We need to really change that bylaw. We're gonna be
If somebody
watching.
makes money off this subdivision, I don't know how you can stop them.
Yeah.
I really don't.
No, they just had their impact analysis presentation next door for their 40B.
Yep.
So,
Did,
Well,
what's his name
and
made the presentation?
It says if the developer is not in compliance with the approved site plan for Blaker Street, can he be forced to then apply for earth removal special permit? And I think what he said to that was, we have to try to get him to come into compliance with the approved site plan.
Which we've already tried.
Well, he's doing some of that cutback now.
what he's doing now.
He's cutting it back at an angle,
Blasting
but
it.
only wanted to go 10 feet. He said, no, you gotta do it all the way, and then he wants a sketch from him on what the depth of it is so that it can't
Phil wants
wash
to put
out.
gravel over it too.
And I mean, with the Lowe's thing, the biggest thing
That
was
was
that it
a-
was minor, and it was
Incidental
incidental
to be able to complete the project.
Right, right.
It wasn't anything like this.
What they're doing there is not incidental and minor by any stretch.
No, that was the main thing of the beginning of the project, take out half the hill. The right-hand
And
side of the
are there
road.
have there been complaints about the operation? There
Yes,
absolutely
yeah.
have.
Plenty, yeah.
Plenty of them.
Not even incidental. I mean, they deviated from the project.
Yeah,
To
yeah.
do a lot
Yeah,
of
but
this. And it's-
when that woman came in and said a house shook, and he said she's beyond the 200 feet of limitation,
Yeah.
well, then his velocity per foot from the blast is more than 1.5 or 0.5, which is allowed. So he's already over blasted.
There it is.
I'll
And it
try to
says,
get
he
answers
says
on
right
this.
here, I see nothing in the Blaker Street site plan approval that explicitly states the level of rock removal at issue in this matter. Nothing in the site plan approval that explicitly states the level of rock removal that's going on.
Well, because we, in the beginning,
doesn't say
figured we
anything
we can't enforce the earth removal because they said it came out that it was incidental to the project. Okay, but that was Lowell's.
Correct.
What I said to him is, Hennigan has to decipher what was said in the Lowell's decision,
Yeah.
and how does it apply to this situation.
Correct.
Okay, it's not that, that may have been, I'm not sure, that went to, I think, land court in Boston, and it was decided there. But, was it just that we
It's
can't
all earth
enforce?
removal is incidental to the project. It's well, what level of earth removal.
This is considerably more,
Yeah.
complete different.
No, half the Lowe's calculations, they were looking to excavate 70,000 cubic yards, which is what they're doing at Blaker Street.
On what size of land?
There was,
17.
Lowe's is 7 acres,
No, more than that.
7.5 acres. I'm not sure Blaker Street size offhand, they were around maybe a little more for the portion that they were approved for.
Still doing good business with Jordan now.
And again, the
Nothing's
attorney
forever.
speak, can you please decipher this? The Town of Auburn earth removal bylaw states that the removal of rock incidental to construction is only exempt from the requirement to obtain a special permit if such removal is explicitly allowed in the site plan approval. I see nothing in the site plan approval that explicitly states the level of rock removal at issue
Because
in
we
this
didn't
matter.
limit it.
We didn't.
We approved it.
We approved it. So we screwed ourselves.
Yeah, if you don't, yeah, it's, if you
So
don't tell
what
somebody-
did we do wrong?
Well, we were silent to the matter. We didn't condition it, say you can't remove earth.
If it's
or you can only
explicitly
remove
allowed.
So much.
You can't.
I think we weren't doing it because we thought you couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah. Removal of rock incidental to construction is only exempt from the requirement to obtain a special permit if such removal is
I think we need to come up with a definition of incidental. No, well,
No, I don't
no,
think
I'm just
that-
saying,
I don't, that's not how I read
Yeah.
that. I mean, like,
no, well, so I mean,
it's
on
only
a
exempt from the requirement to obtain a
per
special
square
permit.
footage
Such
basis,
is
what's
explicitly
incidental?
allowed.
Is it 10%, is it
It's not
5%?
explicitly
Yeah,
allowed.
now the earth removal
Right.
bylaw was last updated 30 years ago. It certainly can be looked at and
Like, it's
addressed.
only exempt
Um,
from requirement to obtain a special permit if such removal is
It's got the
explicitly
page long.
Because we
allowed.
didn't
It's not
think we
explicitly
could.
allowed.
Well, and that's,
Right.
so if we can,
Because we were listening to what, since Lowell's, we can never require anybody to get an earth removal permit, because they're all incidental, and that's why we didn't do it. We just thought we couldn't
but
do
if you
it.
define incidental, then you could probably hold them accountable, putting it in.
Is that
That's
true?
why we have to
Defining-
have Hennigan or somebody
Incidental?
define.
Well, I'm saying we probably can't go back, but if we can define it now, we can save ourselves in the future.
Well, I
And
mean-
everyone knows what incidental means, so when they come in front of us, you know, we're not just nitpicking what incidental is.
Like if we create a bylaw that says, almost like if you got a solid block of ledge, which you said he'd already talked about that he'd been up there
And he
and
knew it
looking
was
at it.
there.
And
when
he knew
bought
it was there,
Yep.
okay? And if you can't build on top of it or do insubstantial drilling or jackhammering or dynamiting to create a trench for a septic line or something like that, and you have to go taking it all out, then you can't build it. Don't buy the land, because we don't want our town 70 or 100,000 yards of land or property that was the town, even though it's individually owned, to be gone from here. It's part of what the town was, okay? So, and you need to almost look at, I don't know, but
The word incidental is already defined. I mean, I see no reason to not.
oh, but like
Where were you
As
in
you
the
project
Show
by
the definition.
Pond down
We as a
there,
planning
the
board could say,
Arbor
don't
I was
remove
right
so
there.
many
Yeah.
more than this amount of dump trucks or
R.H.
yards
White
worth
did
of.
that.
I don't
Well,
think
he was the only,
can't make them get a special permit, but we
there's a
can
group of them that built
They dredged it.
restrict the amount they can, which is
Yeah.
Put
Well, they
all
don't
the
see
land
that.
up on Richard
Right.
Street.
Separate-
It was all
separate
spread
Right.
up there, all
And we
up on
didn't do that.
Richards. And then they,
Because we didn't think
when
that
I
they were
was a
gonna go in there
kid,
and
they
start
lived
a
in that
quarry.
pond. We lived over there.
But does it, so I know this is one specific thing, but I mean, what would prevent anybody from just going in there and decide to using something completely different, saying, oh, it's incidental?
Right,
This is just so happened to be a better place for whatever.
right.
So I don't know if you necessarily need to outline every single thing.
You couldn't do it in one bylaw.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
But I think
And let's not forget, I mean, we're mad about the problem at hand here, but this has to be weighed against property owners' rights, and property owners do have mineral rights. We can't just start limiting all of that. It's a big one.
yeah. You don't know if he has the mineral rights, I've never read the deed. Correct?
Yeah.
We only want you to talk when you agree to us.
I hope that's not recorded.
That was good. Okay, so you've got your notes as to what we need going forward, the agreement that is behind that letter.
Yep.
Doesn't appear Blaker Street is going to be, but we can prevent it maybe going forward. And I think, the way that was worded about how, because, can I just see this for 1 second? Is there if there is an excessive amount of ledge being blasted and processed on site, would this be considered quarrying, and then could we require a special permit? Maybe that's really not the question we want to ask, is we want them to stop lugging the stuff out of here, right? Because it was not part of the approved site plan.
They can't,
Or
let's
was
put that
it?
aside. They're deviating from the approved project, and they haven't come back with a modification to the plan, so we're no further along than we were since before they even came in. So what are we doing with their non-compliance with what we approved?
Right.
So can you
What are we
request a
doing with
work
the
stoppage?
non-compliance?
right now they're working to comply.
They're working to
If they're,
comply.
if they're working to get back into compliance, I don't know. I mean, that's all, I think that was the larger issue at hand. This
And
is-
Bill's on top of that, right? Yeah, so
Yeah.
we'll have to depend on Bill Coyle to give us an update
I know they're,
hopefully at the June 11th meeting, or if you get something
Yeah.
before then, provide us with an update.
What about processing the stone on site? Can
Yes.
we restrict processing
40
stone?
feet. Pardon?
Can we restrict processing the stone? Because that was the complaint, that was the
That
dust.
does solve problems and some
Well,
problems.
Mr. Hennigan did say that we could ask them to move that part of the process off the site,
Well,
where they're crushing the stone down.
Well, the guy, Bill said the guy said, I think it was him today, that they want to take it in bigger pieces, and it'll be more trucking, because it won't be as condensed and fill up, there'll be a lot of voids inside the trailer dumps, okay? But you take it outside. Well, it costs them a lot more money, so
Fine.
let them do it. Tell them they gotta do it.
Go ahead.
What do we care?
It's not, I don't care how long it takes.
I don't care how much
Residents
money.
were reporting dust on their cars after an
What's
hour.
that?
It's not just the
Also taking
dust, it's
longer
also
to
like
do that than-
there's people away that was saying that was problem breathing. I
Yeah, but
mean, you know, like
my
what's the
other
health
concern is they just
concern?
redid Albert Street. They may have to make the improvements in that street. What's that street gonna be like when they get done hauling all those trucks over it?
Yeah.
You know, how many did you say, one in 31 minutes, 9?
9 trucks, I think.
So,
Pulled in,
you
loaded, they
can't
were
stop
like,
somebody from making their own crushed stone to use on their own project. I don't think you can stop them from doing that.
But
If
he
he's
said
using it
as
on
an
the site.
alternative, we can
he's not. He's hauling it
encourage
up.
the developer
hauling it
to
up.
at least move the rock grinding portion of the operation off-site.
Which means he just go to the Oxford line. It's right there.
Yeah, that could be. And the other thing too is, Ronnie and I was saying, I was sitting up at Home Depot, waiting to turn into Home Depot the other day, and the work that's going on at Prime, they've just torn down that other building, and
It was gone in a
there
heartbeat.
was such a dust storm up there, I couldn't even see. They had water trucks on site, but they weren't using them. It was, I thought I was in the Sahara, no kidding, it was that bad.
I was all the way down by the woods at Eddie Pond.
Was it Saturday?
It was so
No, it was a
bad.
few days last week.
I
Couple
want to
of
say
times.
Friday afternoon.
Okay, all right.
Friday afternoon. That's
Big
when I was
dust.
there. Oof, crazy. Aren't they required to keep that water down and?
Yes, they are.
I think as they
Or is it
scrape
they have
it, they can
trucks
wet
on
it,
site?
and as they scrape it, it dries, it's back into the dry
Well-
right again.
The whole time they're tearing down the building, they're supposed to have hoses on it.
Yeah, well, the building at this point, when I was there, was
All
gone.
gone.
This was, they were just, moving.
They
That
still got
building's
some
gone,
crumbled
yeah.
asphalt there.
Not off-site.
But that may be something you want to send Caleb up there.
It's gonna be nice when it's all done.
Yeah,
but, you
no,
know.
yeah, oh, absolutely, thrilled about it, but,
But it's,
That was
those are the
awful.
little
That was
things-
awful. Yeah.
Those are the things that people
Yeah.
need.
And the other thing, in the
Not bad
BJ's,
either. I mean, I know
gas
it's-
station, all of those trees they planted in the back to buffer for the neighbors are dead. They are all light brown and not green.
And I'll light the gas, suck it up in the roof.
Maybe pour a little bit off, and then they put the top.
No, they
All
don't.
right, minutes.
How come they don't do it now?
Does someone make a motion on the minutes? Everybody get a
I'll make
chance
the
to
motion.
read those?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And next meeting is,
Not May 14th.
I was gonna say May 14th, June 11th.
June 11th.
And I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.